Hello, welcome back to the woods.
And welcome back to a video where I'm going to tell you a little bit about the latest addition to my EDC range. It's something I'm really excited about and I can't wait to share with you guys. But before I tell you what the new item is, I need to explain to you a little bit about the thought process behind the EDC gear that I produce. So EDC, as you know, stands for everyday carry, and it's items that you carry on your person that are there to aid you in everyday life, but also there for those little emergencies, and perhaps sometimes those not so little emergencies. And my thinking behind the ideal EDC items is that they're relatively small and lightweight and unobtrusive. That way you're likely to carry them on your belt, and the reason I tend to go for on the belt is we don't go many places without our trousers, and relatively unobtrusive. What you don't want is the big back belt with lots and lots of pouches and stuff on it, because to be frank, if you're just getting in the car and you've got something like that on, you're probably going to take it off, or you might not even bother to pick it up off the side at home, and therefore when you need it you haven't actually got it. My EDC items are small, lightweight, and I pretty much guarantee that you're likely to have them with you when anything goes wrong, because they are small, lightweight and unobtrusive. So that's what I think about before I actually put together any of my everyday carry items, my EDC items. I also think to myself, well, all of those items need to have a primary purpose and a secondary purpose, i.e. the thing you're most likely to use them for and the thing that you may use it for in an emergency. I'll give you an example. So my little German Army penknife, well, in its everyday form, it's there for opening parcels, cutting string, sharpening pencils, all those little everyday cutting tasks. But in an emergency, well, this could be used for a lot of things. It could be used to get me fire, or to get a shelter, or even to cut a seat belt to get somebody else out of a vehicle perhaps. Another example would be my little Olight i3T flashlight. Great little light, but what does it get used for most of the time? Well, light up my loft, or looking under the car, or checking the fuse box, all of those things. But in an emergency, well, I know it's there, it could light my way through a wood in the dark, or it could be used to signal my location. So I try to think of everything in my gear should have a primary and a secondary purpose. So that's the thought process I go through whenever I put any of my EDC range together. The little companion pouch, well, it's got the little bit of Gorilla Tape in there, which you're probably going to use for patching holes in tarps, or maybe winding around a cut if you've got a cut finger. But we know in an emergency it could also be used as a fire starter or to repair a piece of gear. With that in mind, I'd like to introduce you to my latest addition to the range, and that's this. And this is the FUBAR Headband. FUBAR. So when I was thinking about a new addition to the range, I wanted something that complemented the other items in the range. Something that could be used in conjunction with any of the other items. And that's what I've come up with. And what I've also come up with is something that is a very good emergency addition to your kit. Its primary role is as a headband that's going to hold your torch, because yes, I'll go for a little AAA one because it's small, it's lightweight, and if I need hands-free I can hold it between my teeth. But there are times when holding it between your teeth isn't that convenient. I can also, with the Olight one, because of the little clips on them, I can clip them to the peak on my baseball cap. But there's times when I'm not wearing one of these. If I'm wearing a beanie in the winter, there's no peak to clip it onto. So a head strap like this is a small, simple, lightweight solution that it's not a new idea. Other people have done it before, but it works, and so this is the primary function of my FUBAR headband, a simple head strap for your torch. So what is its secondary function? Well, the keen-eyed among you might have noticed on the back there's a few other bits, some orange tape, a little D-ring. Probably also noticed there's various orange markings on it, and it's got one of these G-hook buckles. This item's secondary use is an emergency tourniquet. Did I just say tourniquet? Yep, emergency tourniquet. Yep, a tourniquet. And I know what you're thinking, yeah, but I'm not a soldier. I'm not in a combat zone. Why would I need a tourniquet? Well, cast your mind back to the beginning of this video, and it was a quote from the late great Mors Kahansky. And that quote is applicable to any of us that use axes. Because if you use something like that, there is a chance that it could go wrong. And it doesn't matter who you are and how good you are. There's always a chance that something could go wrong, that little mishap, that little lax concentration, and a very nasty accident ensues. And my favourite little pairs of boots, not quite paying attention with a small forest axe. That just nicked the leather, but it could have been so much worse. Now, I always carry a cuts kit in my back pocket, and it's on me at all times. My tourniquet lives with my first aid kit, and that could be over there. The accident could be over here. I may not be in a position where I can get over there to get this. The idea with the EDC items is they're items that you have on you at all times. By making this a head strap for your torch as its primary use, and a tourniquet second, it's still on your person when the accident happens. It may not be you, it might be somebody you with, but those vital seconds that you save, not having to go over there to get your first aid kit, instead just be able to pull your tourniquet out, could save an awful lot of aggro and an awful lot of claret for somebody else. So, how do we use this new bit of wonder kit? Well, it's very, very simple. All it is a strap with a buckle. First thing we do, undo the buckle. We then adjust the slider on the buckle outwards until you hit one of these orange markers, and there's two. Those orange markers, when you purchase this item, you tell me the measurement in centimetres of your bicep and your thigh. That way you've got those two preset marks, and what that does is that saves you valuable seconds when you actually come to use it. So I pull this through until that mark sits in the buckle. Once that's done, This then passes around your thigh or your arm above the point of injury. You then connect the buckle. You then tension the buckle by pulling down on this lower strap, and your orange mark will move through to below the buckle. You tighten that as much as you can. The next thing you do is you find this little loop on the upper side of the strap. Below it there's a little D-ring which can slide backwards and forwards and can even pass over it if you need it to. Slide that so it's just off to one side, then take your flashlight, pass it through the loop like so. Now this is already tensioned around your thigh. What you're about to do is use your torch as a windlass, and that, as you twist it, will begin to close down the blood supply to the affected area. It will take possibly 3 or 4 turns to actually close the blood supply off. With that done, what we then do is just pass the D-ring over the top . Now obviously once I'd designed this, I made one up and I gave it a try on myself, and I did it repeatedly just to see if it worked, and as far as I could tell it did, but I'm a little bit biased. So I sent it over to a mate who I didn't tell him exactly how to do it. I just sent him the item, told him what it was, and he just got on with it. He's filmed it, and he's filmed it with a pulse meter on so that you can see how effective this is.
On my finger here, if you'll have a look, this is a pulse oximeter. It'll take a second to pick up. There you go. So showing my pulse and oxygen saturation. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put probably 3.5 turns on the windlass, and then we're going to go back to the oximeter. So there's 1, there's 2, that's 3, and that's 3.5. And you can see, if you zoom on that, my pulse has actually stopped. Give it a second. There you go. So what that's proving is that right now, and I haven't put the toggle on because I'm just holding this with my hand, because actually if you've ever put a tourniquet on, you'll know it's pretty damn painful, and my arm is now going dead. But basically anything below where that tourniquet is now, if I had a catastrophic bleed, then that bleed would be occluded. Now it is getting quite painful now, so I'm just going to release the tourniquet, and you should see the oximeter prove that my pulse is being restored. And let's hope it is, because my hand's tingling now. There you go. See how my pulse rate had gone up? That's because it hurts.
Now the thing with a tourniquet is it's something you carry and you hope you'll never have to use. I mean, isn't that true of all of our EDC gear? Hopefully we never have to use it for its secondary use, its extreme use. There'll be some people that would say, yeah, but I could achieve the same thing with a piece of paracord and a stick. Yeah, you could, but you'll also cause tissue damage, etc. There'll be others who will say, oh yes, but the other one's got a wider strap, etc., for just that reason, so you don't damage tissue, etc. This one is somewhere in between. It's there for emergency use. I'd much rather have this on my belt than not have it and have to improvise. This is quicker and way better and much better thought out. So there you go. That's my latest idea and my latest product. These will be appearing complete with a little belt pouch up on the Etsy shop sometime later this week. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked the idea. If you did like the idea and you like the video, then remember, hit that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me over on Instagram and Facebook, and the links will appear down below, as will the link to the Etsy shop where these are going to be available. You can also get involved over on Patreon, because the Patreon guys have already had the heads up on this. If you want to be that little bit ahead of everybody else in knowing what I'm up to and when different things are coming up for sale, then perhaps if you want to pop over to my Patreon page, and for a small fee every month, and it is very, very small, you too could be privy to that information. I think that's everything. I've been Neil. Until next time, stay safe.